Hi, so I'm gonna make this video just to record some notes. This is a Renault Zoe that I've been working on, and it had a front end impact, and I bought this vehicle with no bumper. And what I've done here is that to buy the bumper and lots of different pieces, put it all together, and I've got it finally to the point where I'm about to assemble it back. And before I assemble it all, there's a whole bunch of things I've learned, and I want to just share those to see if I can benefit somebody else who's also working either on the front bumper, maybe is working on some of the issues, and some of the things that you need to take into account when you, if you buy a vehicle with missing bumper, just to do repair, etc. So this is the end product. This bumper was originally purple or dark blue, I think. And so I had a bit of a damage on this side. I've done all the repair, I've done the paint, and it's turned out pretty well. So I'm just going to do some notes on this and some information about the wiring, the connections, and that sort of stuff. So just bear with me. I'm just going to pause this video and then continue the recording. Right, so I've moved the bumper out of the way, and here you can see the bumper in more details. So it's turned out very nice. Anyway, so the first thing to share is that when you take the bumper off, you have these two connections that can connect the wiring loom to all the components on the bumper. And the biggest thing I found was that when I got the vehicle, obviously the bumper was missing, but luckily these two were not damaged. So the lesson I learned was that I could not charge the vehicle. Every time I charged the vehicle, it came up with battery charging impossible. And the reason it was doing that is because the flap here, the charging flap, requires to be connected, and it has a locking position, which let me see if I open this manually. Yeah, there you go. Right, so it has a locking mechanism which sits behind this bit, and there's a switch. And when that's pressed and it opens, it gives the indication to the computer to say that the flap is now open. Okay, I'm going to record more details about how that is operating when I turn the bumper around. But for now, just to share that if that switch isn't pressed and you plug in power to the vehicle to charge it, the vehicle will not charge. It will come up with an error message that says battery charging impossible. And unfortunately, if everything was assembled, that message can mislead you into thinking there's a battery problem, there's a charging issue, or maybe even the charging port issue. Because some of the Renault Zoes do have issues with the charging port, and that gives you the same message. And sometimes it's also to do with the fact that you have the high voltage cables that have become damaged, and that gives you the same error message that says battery charging impossible. So if you're getting that message, and obviously the bumper is everything is together, that would not be related to the flap not being connected. But obviously if you buy a vehicle with no bumper on it and you try to charge it, it just won't charge. And it's primarily because of the switch. Now, I originally thought that I could just find out what the two pins were, create a temporary circuit just to charge the vehicle. But I couldn't do that because there's very limited information available. Hence why I'm making this video, to share with everybody on, some of the things that you can actually save time by just watching these notes. Okay, so another thing I want to mention is that you have a whole bunch of components on this bumper. As a matter of fact, too many. And so the first one I want to cover on this side is that this flap here has got two parts, and there's two hidden screws. One is visible here, but two are behind the two stickers. And when you take those two off, the front logo will come off. Okay, and so the assembly is made from the back, and then once everything is assembled, you put the logo back on and then put the screws. Okay, so you can't, if you were to assemble this whole unit and then try to bring it into this bigger plastic piece, it won't actually go through. Okay, so the way on the top, the way the piece works is that you have the charging port. This plastic piece is one big assembly. Many times you'll find on eBay that this part is okay, but this part is broken, because this easily breaks. So and if this part is broken, then you will not be able to cover the where the locking mechanism is for the bonnet and stuff. So it's important to get the full assembly. So you have that assembly that connects to the plastic bit over here, and this comes from the back. Okay, all of this comes from the back, and then it sits on the bumper, and this chrome bit goes from the front, and it has two screw points. I think two, maybe a one. I think it's two. And so when you put that in, it obviously goes partially through the bumper and then connects back to this housing here. Okay, another thing to mention is that once I got everything together, I got the vehicle charging, and I thought, wow, okay, finally all the electrics are sorted. I realized that this is a separate part, and many people are selling just the assembly, but not the charging light. So when I turn this bumper around, I will also share information on this, the part numbers and stuff. And the vehicle will still charge without this, so that's not essential, but if you want to complete the vehicle properly, then this is important. Whereas this is absolute must. If you don't have this and the switch isn't being pressed and the servo on this side isn't actually engaging the lock, then the vehicle will just simply not charge. Okay, and this whole this mechanism is just a spring, a W-shaped spring that sits behind this. Okay, it's not going to be visible because I've assembled it, but it's there. And so when you press it, it's just a manual process, and there is a manual lever that you can actually just press to disengage this. Okay, so I've covered that. On the front, I want to share information about different pieces. This piece goes from the front. Okay, the fog light comes from the back. Okay, and this also connects from the back. So this is one piece. You have that as a piece. And then this is a small trim which connects at the end. So you connect the grille, this piece goes into the corner, goes back, and then there's a screw that holds it from the back side and pulls it backwards. And it's the same principle on the other side. Okay, the other thing is you have multiple types of these grills. There's some which have got like a radar assembly at the back. I couldn't find the normal grill, so it's just because the cars are very new, and so there's the parts are not available easily on eBay. So because that's where I get most of my parts from. So I had to get this grill. This is a grill from a GT spec, and what that spec has is got a radar at the back. I mean, it still fits perfectly, but it means that obviously if you put that in, you have this extra bit, but there's no radar at the back. Okay, this hole is just a standard hole. There's no components behind it, and the number plate comes on top, so there's nothing missing here. The thing to remember is that many of these basic spec cars don't have front parking sensors. Okay, so I'm left with two small holes which don't have actually parking sensor. The other thing is, when I got this bumper had a hole here for a parking sensor, and I've filled it up properly, and you can see the result. There's no trace of it anywhere. So I've done all the bodywork, done the paint job, filler, etc., etc. So so you can customize the bumpers with the parking sensor and just fill them up, because there's no other holes other than just two on the side. Rest of them are here, and there's also a hole here in the fog light. Again, I could not find the part because they're just not available easily. Okay, so I've covered the front side. I'm just gonna go to the back and record more. Actually, before I do that, I just want to show the wiring harness on what it looks like here. So, you have two connectors, and one has, if you see here, you have seven wires on this. You will find specs which have got all 10 cables, because it depends on if the vehicle is fitted with additional things like the side radar and that kind of stuff. Then you'll have more. But these are the wire colors in case you need to check against a wiring diagram. So you can see this is the 5 connector, and that's what the front looks like. You can pause the video and check anything if you need to. And then another one, this is the second one, and that's got 6 and 6, so 12 rows. So there's the one side and there's the other side. Okay, before I just go back to the bumper, I want to also share information about the Soundbox. Soundbox on the 2022 model has got different part numbers. So I bought this Soundbox. I have connected it. Unfortunately, as soon as I connected it, this just stays on all the time. And it's not because it needs to be reprogrammed or the CAN bus cannot read this. It's because this is from if you look here, this is from a 2016 release, as you can see here at the bottom, where it says Delphi. There, let me just zoom it in. Yeah. Okay, so, and because this vehicle is 2022, I think, it needs a different part number. So, and the connection is exactly the same. Sorry about the stuttering. Yeah, so it will connect. Okay, and once you have this bracket, it's just a matter of sliding it in and then connecting this this into the Soundbox. What you'll find is that if you don't have the right part number, the Soundbox will remain on and you can't turn it off, and you can't override it using your diagnostics computer. You really need the right part number. It's just a lesson I learned, so I'm sharing it here. Okay, so right, I'm gonna stop it here, and let's just get the back of the bumper. I'll cover some notes on that. Right, so I've got the bumper on my work table, and here you can see how the bumper looks like at the back. So the wiring loom starts from here with these two connections, and you can see what the wires look like, and the pins. Okay, so this is the one with the 7 connections. Okay, and these are the wires in case you need to create a loom. You can see where the wires go. Okay, and then this is the other side with the 6 and 6 row 12 connections, and this is the other side and there's the pins. Okay, so the wiring loom comes in, connects first to the fog light. There's also a parking sensor connection. So you can see the connections are green, blue, and black and white. Is that the case? Yeah, so I think the colors should be about right, but you can see them here. And then you have the fog light. And then it carries on all the way to the housing for the charging port. And the charging port has got three main connections. This is the part that I was talking about with the light. It's not essential. The car will still charge, but obviously if you want to complete the car, you need to put it on, and it gives the indication when the vehicle is charging. It changes color as well, and that connects to this connection here with the this one here. And this is the servo, and this is the manual release. When you press that, the flap will open. Okay, and the color for the cables on that is like this, and here. I'll also share the part number, so you may need to actually just rotate the image and stuff. So, but there it is. Okay, so now the part number for the light is, you can see here, you've got the part numbers. Okay, and then finally the button I was talking about when you can't charge the vehicle is this one here. And there's a pin that gets pressed, and that basically shortens these two wires. Okay, the green and the brown and white. And then it carries on again to the other side. You've got a fog light, and you have the parking sensor, and that's the filling I've done. There's a mesh at the back as well to reinforce it before I painted the bumper. Okay, and normally there would be a radar sensor that will go here, and I've tucked this in, but that's the connection that brings you to the radar assembly and goes that way. Obviously I don't have that on this car. Okay, at the bottom you have six nuts and bolts, and because the bumper was missing, I had to improvise. I put washers at the back with nuts with nylon in them to make sure they doesn't come loose. So I've got all of these secured. I've cleaned most of the bumper except the bottom and this piece here. So this piece is also separate. So I'll go with number. I'll share how many pieces go from this side. This bottom part has got two of these inserts. One is missing, which I'm trying to get hold of, and there's one here. Okay, so we'll start on this side. You have multiple pieces. The one piece, which is this big one here, is actually welded into the bumper with using these points, and basically something hot actually comes in and it just binds it to the bumper. So this remains on the bumper. And then you have a vent which sits at the top. You have another piece, which is this one here, this whole piece, and the vent actually goes on top of it. Okay, you have some screws here. When you fit the bumper back, the grille is installed afterwards. So you complete the fog sight first, and then you put the main grille back in, and the final piece that should go in is this bottom part. Okay, so that's when you're assembling it. And on the housing here, like I said, this is one piece. You have a plastic trim here, which is the shiny piano black part here, and the chrome bit is you can see the insert from that, and that's the screws for it, and it just keeps it back. And there's one there, and that removes the chrome from the front. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything that I can share. Hopefully this will be useful to you. The idea is to, if you're working on a Renault Zoe 2020 or the latest model, you need notes on, you know, various things on the bumper, the harness, then this will be hopefully useful, because I couldn't find much information. So the purpose is just to help somebody who's working on these, on this. Yeah, and I guess before I wrap it up, just to include the fog lights also fit on a Nissan. And so the fog lights, you can actually, if I get this part number in, yeah, so these fog lights sometimes come with an extra piece of plastic, and if you take that off, effectively the rest of the fog light is exactly the same. So it fits on a Zoe, on I think a few other Renault models, and some Nissan models as well. And it's a pretty straightforward. The fog light goes, there's got two parts here, plastic pieces that go inside, and then you put the screws at the top. And obviously you need this wiring loom. Another thing about the wiring loom is there's two versions. There's one version which has got the which is before 2020 model, and if you get that loom, the connectors won't match. So if you have Zoe 2020, then make sure you have the part number that I shared with here, which is this one. Okay, and I guess that's it. So thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, drop some messages. If not, that's okay. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that you took the time out to listen to me. Thank you.